So how many here, just to get an idea, regularly do art? Raise your hand across them. And how many of you actually do art for healing? Show of hands. Good. And now lastly, how many of you actually get how art is healing? Okay, yeah, nice. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Katharina Comedy. I'm a holistic coach, artist, volunteer here at Donna Lexa, as well as a client. And I'm the first to say that for many years, I didn't get it. I mean, I was always drawn to art in school. I took art classes. I considered pursuing it further, but I was told to focus on something practical and useful, which somehow gave me the message that art was not practical and useful, especially if you weren't some prodigal genius right out of the womb. You know, this isn't really surprising for the environment that I grew up in. It was a chaotic and abusive home, and by the time I was 19, I tried to end my life 3 times. And the last time, I heard a voice in the stillness that said, "You can absolutely do that, but you'll never know how the story ends." Now that idea took me by surprise, that there could be a different end to my story. With that, I was determined to see how my story would unfold. I share this because I'm a person who knows what it's like to desperately need healing when everyone thought it was fine. So I ended up studying psychology, spiritually, personal growth, really anything that presented as help. I did the best I could with what I had. Eventually, I found myself working as a project manager at a hospital. I still had the passion for health and wellness, but did the practical thing. And I became one of the 85% of the people in the workforce where I totally just tolerated my job on the best of days. And I wondered if this was it, if this was all there was going to be to my life, that what life had for me. And it didn't help me that my body started to breaking down and I was having debilitating pain to the point where I spent months bedbound. When I lost 2 close mentors on the same day, it was the last straw. My world crumbled. I didn't know what to do with myself. I had no words. That's when I saw a large empty canvas in the corner of my house, one that I bought 2 years prior, thinking that I would do something with it, but never really got around to it. But on this day, I couldn't stop myself. In a frenzy, I grabbed some paint and I started. Without any certainty or plan. Whatever words I didn't have, they went on as color. I used hand, spatula, comb, pencil, whatever. Whatever was in my way was fair game. It didn't matter. And it all came pouring out. Everything I couldn't say, everything I didn't have words for. The tears began to run. From the outside, it probably looked like a scene. Here I was on my knees, sobbing, paint flying everywhere. Then just as quickly as it started, it stopped. The tears ended, and I found myself in complete peace and stillness. And that's when I stood up and I stood back, and I was stunned. What I saw in front of me was beautiful. In all my years tinkering with art, I had never been able to produce anything like this. And yet, in my most broken time, there was this massive, gorgeous piece. That's when I realized 3 things. 1, something incredible can be created when you feel broken, not enough, in doubt. There is no perfection required. In fact, the less control, the better. And number 2, there is a power that moves through you. And when you allow yourself to be with that brokenness, or whatever you have in the moment, without that judgment, you allow this power access and expression. And 3, this power absolutely heals. It makes something new. It energizes, soothes, clears, calms, and reorganizes. Now, up until this time, I was working hard to undo the years of childhood trauma that kept me locked in unhealthy patterns in my body and in my life. Yet most of all, the modalities required me to remember the things that I couldn't remember. it happened and they required me to all the things that were pre-verbally that happened before, I even had words for them. And if I couldn't remember them, how could I bring them up? Added to that, I couldn't often tell if it was working. I would often leave the office feeling like I'd just been left through the ringer, but with no real clear sense of if it's actually helping. I realized that making art is a way to access these parts of me that I didn't remember and give them an expression. And I felt better in a way that I couldn't explain. Now, I studied this process further, and as I did so, I created piece after piece to heal and document my journey, and they're actually hanging at Holbrook Piano Gallery just down the street. Eventually, as I did so, these tears subsided, which brought me to another discovery, that the healing was just the beginning. Joe Hudson, the executive coach to Silicon Valley, says that joy is the matriarch of emotions, and she will not come into a house in which her children are not welcome. Where before I had chaos and pain at the forefront, now there was a blank slate and the possibility of joy. I believe for all of us to heal, and to be in our full purpose, we have to create. Healing is just the beginning of that. We have to create something, whether that is art, bakery, business, podcast, music, something we need to create. Making art just happens to be the safest, in my opinion, the most practical place to start creating, to practice being in the unknown with the fear and trusting in it long enough to bring out whatever you're meant to bring into the world. And you get to heal in the process, and you get to experience joy and have a visible record of it all in an instant. I believe in this so much that I created half-day VIP retreats, which people pay $3,000 for me to help them, men and women who have been stuck in their place, who have been checking the boxes their life, who have lost their sense of purpose and their joy, and I help them to get unstuck, to realign to that joy in their life, even if they have no idea where to begin. And I think this is the only way to bring real change here in our world. It begins with each of us healing and creating what we're meant to create. Now, last year, I found Donna Lexa when I was looking to give to the community, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it pop up in the volunteer matches, and I thought it couldn't have been a better fit. And I had no idea it even existed. And I kind of thought, like, what would it have been like had I known about this when I was 19? What difference that would have made. But in any case, in the few days of volunteering at Donna Lexa with the groups, I saw firsthand the amazing creativity coming through the artists, their enthusiasm and the changes that came in them. I knew what making art did for me, but I never saw the difference that making it in community could do. And it turns out I was seriously missing out. I could see this because of the encouragement and the engineering help of the teachers. The students seemed to imagine even bigger, and the projects became more creative. They didn't get stuck in their own way that I often would do and be when I was trying to do it on my own. And the joy that I get to see watching people bring their creations to life, it's just infectious. So, and I think we can all agree the world could just use just a tad more joy in these days. So, and I was so impressed by the effects I saw at Donna Lexa that I had to share it with my mom. She really had been struggling with lost capacity after strokes, brain bleeds, dementia. Most activities, even other art classes, only reminded her of her shortcomings. And you know, when she first came to Donna Lexa, she was very reserved and she wasn't really sure that she belonged there. But every time in the car ride home, she would talk about all the neat things all the other students were making. And with each class, I saw her confidence and enthusiasm grow. And not just a few weeks ago, I called and had asked her if she was up to going, and she was having a really bad day, and she just wasn't sure. After hearing that I was going to be going anyway, she decided to join. And when we got there, she started by meandering around the perimeter of the studio. But the positive environment and the inspiration of being at Donna Lexa did its thing, and eventually she was embossing copper foil, something she had never done before. She inspired a number of others in the class to also work with copper foil. With all her limitations, she could still make a difference. By the time we left that day, she was absolutely beaming. Her whole demeanor shifted, and I asked if she was glad that she came. And she just shook her head, and she was just like, wow, this is just amazing how different I feel from earlier today. I can't even believe it. That's the thing with making art. You can feel the difference immediately. Picasso has said, art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. I know it does a lot more than that. My mom proudly shows off her creations to anyone she can. Before, she was judging herself by what she couldn't do anymore, and now she is lit up by all the things that she's made and is excited for all her new projects. There are no words for how grateful that makes me, for my mom to find joy and confidence again in this stage of her life. And just last week, another elder came up to me mid-class with a smile ear to ear, paint on her hands, and she's just like, I just love this place. I wish I could be here all the time. Nobody asked her, but this is the effect of making art at Donna Lexa. In a world which is so much is judged on the outcome, it's good to remember that the process of creating is the journey where life and joy actually exists. And there couldn't be anything more practical and useful than the process of making art. There's an artist, Ernst Levy, who said, man will begin to recover the moment he takes art as seriously as physics, chemistry, or money. Donna Lexa has said, artwork is an extension of the person, and if the artwork is accepted, the artist is accepted, and that stimulates independence, self-confidence, and motivation. And I say that making art with this acceptance is an expression of love that can absolutely transform the world. I am grateful to Donna Lexa, the teachers, administrators, and all the people, you, who support this mission, because you are helping to heal, create joy, and change the world one masterpiece at a time. Thank you. And I also wanted to mention as a gift for everyone here, because I feel so strongly in this, I want to gift everyone a half day of the VIP retreat to anyone here if you're interested. You can just email at support@theeverslife.com. So thank you.